FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You're listening to the Financial Survival Network and gold. Today is May 12th. We're talking at around 2:30 p.m. It's been going up all day, little retracement, but as we speak, it's right around the 1194 mark, up 970 the ounce. Silver, 1649, up 21 cents the ounce. And we've got Polny back with us. Gotten a lot of controversial email about him, but I like Bo. Hey, we're forecasting price movements. You can't expect precision, but I like Bo's cycle outlook on it. And I'm not going to hold him to the day and the hour, but listen to what he has to say. If you like it, go to his site. And if you don't, come up with your own cycle analysis or do what you please. Bo, welcome back.
Hi, thanks, Kerry.
So you got some exciting forecasts here. Why don't you share it with people listening?
Sure, no problem. Thanks, Kerry. What I've done is I put up a new link on my website, but it covers gold, U.S. dollar, stock markets, and specifically what we're looking at right now is remember the interview, or let me actually start with mid-March. In mid-March, we had done several interviews, and when I was also at that time in Hong Kong and Singapore, we had forecasted and put a couple price projections, or not price projections, but predictions and forecasts into this summer. And specifically, I'll go over all 3 of the points. The first point was gold and silver bull market breakouts, or big moves we should see, and the word was before summer. Secondly, we had a U.S. dollar top, arrived March 16th, continued weakness into the end of April, with a breathtaking crash before summer. And then point 3 was a devastating world stock crash starting in 2015 and then ending in 2016. So that was what we talked about with relation to the point in March. At that time, we also did an interview, and we forecasted that right at that inflection point, the IDs of March is a very critical time point for the U.S. dollar and gold. And right at that time point, the interview that the presentation that we did in Hong Kong and Singapore was on March 19th and the 24th, and that's when we made those forecasts. And at that time, gold was at 1146, and the U.S. dollar topped out at 100.71. Since then, the U.S. dollar has dropped as of this article that I had written as of Friday, the May 8th. The U.S. dollar had dropped down to 93.96, a drop of 6 3/4, and the U.S. dollar, gold turned up off 1141, went as high as 1124, up $83 rise, and then as of today, it's still up about $50 off of that March low. So how is that for a good place to start, Kerry?
Hey, well, it looks like you're spot on about the dollar. Stock market seems to be traveling in a channel. Gold and silver, you were looking for a breakout. They certainly haven't gone lower. They've gone up a bit from where they were, but they haven't broken out yet. Yeah. So, but they look like they've hit resistance on the downside for certain. Gold really right around 1,200 or the high 1100s, 1180s, and silver right that $16 mark. It just doesn't want to go below that, it appears. Right. So we'll give you 1 for 3 on that, okay?
Okay.
But dollar for sure. Actually, I give you 2 out of 3. Metals manipulation is so rife that I don't think you really can pinpoint an exact exact day when they're going to break out because they're so dependent upon what the other two are going to do that, I kind of agree with you, but I just can't see an exact day for the breakout. But hey, I can be wrong. I've been wrong all along, other than stocking up in 2009 when they got smashed below 700 and below $10. Other than that, it's been a tricky ride to predict where they're heading.
Oh, absolutely, Kerry. But you know what? And that's where hindsight comes into play. And with relation to even silver, when we look at it on the last page of the update, and I think I've sent it off to you. We were talking about it just earlier. That November interview we did, which was the beginning of the first week of November, right then gold went down to a low of $1,130. Now, the point is, as you said earlier, that was, we nailed the bottom. The problem is, if you look at that chart on the very last page, you see that we drew a silver chart. Silver's been stuck in a wedge, and it's been unable to break out of the wedge. And I fully agree with you that, obviously we haven't gone up into any major prices. It's been stuck in range bound. But what I see is I see a channel and I see a triangle. And when I do and look at specifically my dollar cycle, so putting the bigger picture together is we have a dollar top that was forecast, and we actually, in a day or two, I think we actually nailed the actual top right on March at 100 on the US dollar. And so from that point, regardless of what has happened, even though it's down 0.75, and even today I think it's down another 0.55, so it's down to like 94.52, which I last checked. The point is that the cycle is not over. The US dollar has a down cycle, and as I basically forecast from Hong Kong, is we're still looking for a crash or a significant drop in the value of the US dollar before summer. Secondly, when I look at the bonds, the 30-year, the 10-year, their patterns and their chart and their day counts are nearly identical to that of the US dollar, telling me that when the dollar breaks, so too will the bonds. And so we have dollar and bonds negative, bearish cycle into and before summer. And then we have a bullish cycle still in play from November 1st, or the first week of November 2014 when we did the interview. And so my cycle is not complete. And until the cycle completes, which is coming in before summer, the trade is to be long gold and silver and short anything related to bonds, treasuries, or U.S. dollar. And until that cycle completes, there's a great quote by W.D. Gann, I don't care what the price is, it will get there. And, will it make a big move? Time will tell, but I do know the time point. We do know the specific week of when the top is expected, and we know the specific week of when the dollar is supposed to bottom. So until that time point hits, it's a matter of being on the correct side of the fence. So I hope that answers your question with relation to gold, silver, and the U.S. dollar and the bonds.
Yeah. Well, one thing that we do know is that the dollar certainly appears to have topped pretty much when you said it was going to. And what date was the top at 100.07? It was
100.71 on that date. Yeah. I did an article. I posted something on Silver Doctors. I also did a interview with Howe Street, and we on that day specifically we're saying right here, critical junction point. We have two major things happening. We've got gold making a significant bottom, and that's a bottom. I mean a bottom for 2015 possibly. Okay, because we've got a low at 1130, and we have a higher degree low in the IDs of March, middle of March 15th range, and that was at 1141. That's $11 higher than 1130. That is a higher degree low. Price is irrelevant in terms of, is it $100 higher or $200 higher? As long as it's higher, it's a higher degree low. So we haven't broken trend, and all that's necessary is an upwards movement and then a parabolic rise. People, must remember there are breakers put in place for $100 gold moves for a reason.
Yeah, we know that. We know it.
And the cycle says it's not over. There is a specific point coming before summer that until that cycle ends, you must sit long gold and silver. To not be positioned here is it could be a very big problem because you could miss out on what's about to happen.
Hey, so this year, don't sell in May and go away is what you're saying, in other words, huh?
The cycle is not over to the upside. We have a bearish count, massive bearish count for the dollar and the bonds. And you have an up cycle that's not complete on gold and silver, period. And anything opposite of that, you're on the wrong side of the trade.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, the market's gotten too complacent. Anytime they get complacent, it's dangerous. And you know it and I know it. That's when people really get burned. And that's when you really need to watch out. Markets, right. Complacent, thinly traded markets, guaranteed to burn you every time.
Right. Go look at the stock market and look at the volume on a monthly basis. It's nothing but a declining volume for several years now. The volume's been declining for years now. And you have a massive, if you go to my webpage, I put a rising bearish wedge on a monthly count. That the stock market is not finished yet. It's got one more leg up. But that's it. If someone's interested in when the top is, we have a specific week of when the stock market tops. It will top, and it's going to come in as a top. When the top comes, then going to fall. And then you have all the other people like Jonathan Kahn and other people that are talking about the Shemitah cycle. We've looked at that cycle, and people will be disappointed with potentially the crash that they're expecting this Shemitah, this September. It may not be the magnitude of what everybody's expecting. And I do not believe it will be. But they're missing the point in that this is a critical cycle because it's 7 times 7. It's 49, and then you have a jubilee of 50. That's when the ugliness hits within the markets.
Hey, and I just want to talk about one thing about this jubilee because I'm a big believer in jubilee. The jubilee happens whether the government proclaims it or not. The jubilee is going to happen. That's what I love to point out because it's just human nature, cycles.
Kerry,
right?
You're 1,000% right. I've got the cycles, the day counts, the stock cycle that we have has been so accurate. It's been kind of freaky in a way because it's been tracking it so amazingly accurate. And the point is that it's coming into a top. That top date, again, where it's going to fall, but it's just not going to crash. The Shemitah, September, it's not going to be collapsing in September like everybody's expecting it. Because why? It's a double year. It's 49 and 50. It's double. And then I've been forecasting. If anybody wants, I can easily send them a PDF. They can send me an email. And we have a 252 year cycle. Okay, it's unbroken. For 252 years. And all of it relates around the number, the mathematical 7 or 21, and it keeps repeating itself. And the point is, like you're saying, Kerry, is that cycle low comes in. Since we first talked, the low that I mentioned to you on that date. In November when we first talked, we said 2016 is the low. And I'm standing by because it won't break. Like you said, it's going to happen just because it will.
Yeah. So I'm not like that concerned that gold hasn't done what we all hope and know it eventually is going to do. That doesn't mean anything to me. Right. People have written me, gold hasn't hit a record, blah, 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 blah. Means nothing to me.
Right, Kerry, but here's the problem. Let's say we're right. Let's say the cycle does complete with a very impressive finish into the cycle for gold and silver, and we'd be proven 1,000% correct. Who's going to now go buy 2,000, some obnoxious number for silver or gold, right? You're going to buy a spike? Really? And then number two, now it has value. Okay, so if it has value, everybody in the world's piling in. You tell me where you're going to go get gold, physical gold and silver. Where are you going to get it? Where is it going to be available?
It's been available now because all my friends in the business say people are selling it, and they tell them not to. Doesn't matter.
That's right.
They're selling it. But
everybody, all the technicians are waiting for an Elliott wave 5 down. Could it happen? Absolutely. After my time point that comes before summer, then you could get a Elliott wave 5 down. But there's also a thing called a failed wave, which means it's an exact opposite move, straight vertical. And so it's come to that point. But the key is on cycles. We have the time. We have the time point. We know the date. We know the week, specifically the week of what to expect. And so until that week is done with, it's upwards for the metals and downwards for the dollar, bonds, and that's just how it's all coming together. But boy, it sure come to a head here.
Yeah. So the fact that gold hasn't done what we would like it to do, irrelevant, and
because the cycle's held. So 6 months, Kerry. Since you like we talked, we didn't get the breakouts, but we didn't have a breakdown.
Yeah,
it's held. That's critical.
Yep. So it's just you can't, like you said, we didn't get the breakdown, and I just don't buy into everything that prediction. It's tricky business. So
yeah, well, like we talked earlier, Kerry, I've given you the date. You specifically have the time point. You know where it's at, and so we sit tight, we wait, we watch. That's all we do. But we know we're on the right side of the trade right now. That's all there is to it. So we have the dollar. It's going to be very, very exciting potential finish here before summer hits.
You know what's going to happen. I'm not really concerned about the wins.
Yeah,
just be positioned. That's all
exactly.
You need to do.
Yeah, you're right. If you're not holding physical, the question is will you be able to get it later? Mm-hmm. It's a good. People have to ask themselves that question. It's really.
Yeah.
If you get a big move in the metals, immediately the world will realize that it has value, and the moment that happens, you just need a few big people to come in and buy, and it's all gone.
Pretty much. And so stop worrying and stop writing me dumb letters, emails. It's just sit back and relax. That's what I tell everybody.
Right,
and,
because you're safe. You're holding it's in your hand. You're safe. Mm-hmm. There's nothing to worry about.
Pretty much. Bo, we got to go. Tell us your website.
Gold2020forecast.com. So gold2020forecast.com. If somebody wants the 252-year stock market cycle, please send me an email. Exact same thing, gold2020forecast, but that'll be at AOL.com. And I'll send you off a PDF of the 252-year gold stock market cycle. And I wish everybody the best.
Hey, by the way, you find the links, as always, on our website, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Make sure you sign up for a free newsletter and our free webinars. Hopefully we'll have one with Bo after these predictions come to fruition. In the meantime, we got one coming up May 20th, 2015, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to have Rick Rule on there and John Embry. And like I say, it's free, but you got to sign up for it. You can go to libertymastermind.us or just click the graphic up on the top of financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Bo, thanks for coming on, clearing up those things. And you did make the call of the dollar topping right at 100.71, I guess it was, in March. I mean, nobody can dispute that. So anyway.
And on top of that, it's like when silver was at $49. Who was selling silver? We did.
Yeah.
Cycles was an unemotional trade. Cycles are unemotional. Yeah. And with regard to even May 20th coming up, I think everybody's going to be a little bit surprised at what happens with the U.S. dollar. So.
Yeah. You and a couple of others that I know, but very few. Anyway, Bo, thanks as always. Talk with you again soon. Be well.
Thanks, Kerry. All the best to you.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.